Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to be deploying an application and database service using Docker Compose. This video is very important. If you can recall, in the last video, we saw how we could use Docker Compose to work with MySQL container. In the last video, we used just a single container, a single service within our Docker Compose YAML file. In this video, we are taking it a little bit further and we are taking a real-life example. We have two services that we want to be working with. The application, that's the .NET web app, and we also have the database MySQL. What we have is, let me share my screen to Visual Studio, so that once you can understand the structure of what we intend to do, it will be easier for you to know how to go about it. So we have a .NET web app. So I have used this project, this particular .NET web app, in multiple videos. It's still the same video. It's still the same project, the same code. So we have a .NET web app that is meant to be connecting to a database, as you can see here. However, this .NET web app is it has been containerized, or we plan to containerize it. That's why we have this Docker file here. This Docker file is what we containerize our .NET web app, and we've gone through similar Docker files, and what we are just doing is we are creating a deployable version, and we are creating an image out of this .NET web app. And the image is from the DLL file that we have here. You can see the outputs in 3 points here. So we have this. Then let me go back to the course service. Yeah. So we have our web app, and this our web app. We are going to containerize it. It will be running in a container. Then afterwards, we now have our database. And let me go to the YAML file. So this is the YAML file. We already saw YAML in the in the previous video. We saw how we worked with MySQL container in this YAML file, in a YAML file. But this time around, we are making use of two services. And this is where YAML begins to really add value. This is where Docker Compose is really handy, because we have our database service. We also have our front end, our web service working. And let me just quickly go through this YAML file. So this is the version. I spoke about version in the last video, and there are compatibility checks between the version you are using and the Docker file you are using. Then for our database service, we are using the MySQL image, which is, the official image. We are using that. Then the port, we are mapping port 3306, which are the default ports for MySQL. 3306 in my computer is mapped to 3306 in the container. Then network, we are using the application network. We are restarting always. Then we are also setting environment variables for the password, database name, user, and the likes. So take note of this. You can see over here that our database name is AppDB. So before I return to this, one thing you need to take note of is that in our course service, the DB source is DB. If you can recall, in our previous videos, the DB source was usually either localhost or 127.0.0.1, but now it's DB because that is our host. We are getting this database from our container, from this YAML file. So the database is also containerized. Our .NET app is also containerized, and we are running, both are communicating with each other as a service. Then the we also want to initialize our DB with a table and some values, and we already did a little on about this. We worked with this in the last video. And for the web, this is the interesting part. So instead of going to publish it to Docker Hub or publishing it to a folder or something. So you can directly connect the Docker file that does all that to your Docker Compose. So I do not need to publish anything. All I just need to ensure is that I create this Docker file and keep it in the same directory as where my Docker Compose is, so that once it is called, it can generate an image based on my .NET application, my web app can generate an image. Then this particular service, the web service, is depending on the DB, which is what we have here. And also our ports, port 80 for the container is being mapped to port 5000 in my own computer. So if I want to access it via the web, it will mean that I will have to specify that I want to do that via port 5000. And it can be anything, just that port 80, my port 80, if I have XAMPP working at the moment, XAMPP will be making use of it. That's Apache. Apache will be using it. So it's way safer to just use port 5000, which is more common with Node applications. Then our network also, we are using the application network. We start always. Then our environment also, we are setting this as our DB host. That's why we are using DB as our host in our application, as seen here. We are using DB, and it's because it has been specified here. Our DB port, we also have it here, and that's basically it. So this Docker Compose file does all that needs to be done, and it really, really simplifies things and makes it a lot easier. So this initialization, so let me just show you the initialization script before I run the Docker Compose file. So let me open it before I share. So that you would see the contents that we want to run. Okay. So I know I showed this initialization script in the last video. Let me do it again. So you can see the contents. We are creating a table course, and we are adding 3 columns: course ID, course name, and rating, and we're also imputing values into them. So now what I will do is, let me share my my bash, my git bash. So I actually just ran this a while ago. So I'll just do it again. Yeah, so Docker Compose Up is all you need to do to get everything to start to work. So that will do all the to connect to the Docker file, connect to the initialization script, build your application, and all that needs to be done. So I'll be running it now. Yeah, so the first time I ran it, it took a while, but because I just stopped the I stopped the container. I didn't delete it. So this time around, it will be way faster to run. So you can see it's ready for connection. It's already telling me that it's done. So you can see all that needs to be done has been done. So now let me stop sharing and I will go to my browser. Let me just clean up okay, let me open in incognito mode. Yeah, so let me share now. Share. Like I said, we are going to connect to it via port 5000, which we are doing now. And you can see it was connected to our database successfully. So you can see the content in our database, from our database. If I should modify the database and we run this again, you would notice that you'll see that it will be reflected here. So this video allows you to run multiple services within a Docker Compose YAML file. So instead of running just a single container at a time, then running another container using somewhere else, you can use a single command, embed everything into your Docker Compose and run it at a time, and everything will be orchestrated for you. So if you find this video informative, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day.